Hello. So the video I'm doing this week is how to connect with other beings, and it's a request sent in. And this was part of a kind of two-part question, which was how to channel effectively and how to connect with other beings. And I thought actually I could do this in two videos. I think it would be better explained within two videos. And so the first one I'm going to do is how to connect with other beings, and this will also tie into the video that I'm doing next week as well. So my guides also said, when I was consulting with them about this, they were saying this is just like channeled information, because I was sort of like, do I want to write something out, kind of plan beforehand? So I have a couple of tiny notes, but they said that this is going to be mostly purely channeled information. So how to connect with other beings. So the first thing that's coming through would be, do not force it. Now this is the same as if you go to the gym, for example, and you start trying to lift really heavy weights before you've even started with the lighter ones, and forcing never really works well in the cosmos. It never works well on the micro level or on the macro level. When you try and force things, it's similar to childbirth. I've never given birth, but it's I believe analogous to childbirth in that you don't just start forcibly trying to push. It's a process of surrender, and then at the right moment you can push, but only once that surrender, that deep surrender has occurred in the first place. And so it's very similar to psychic ability. It's when you try and force it, you can end up harming yourself, or coming into contact with beings that are not concerned about your highest progress, your highest development. And so, and this isn't like a message of fear or anything like that. It's just a case of, it's like, just don't force it. And, I think with psychic unfoldment is, it's in the name, it's an unfoldment. When something's unfolding, you don't try and rip it open. You just allow for it to occur. You just allow for the unfoldment process to happen. And when your connection with beings in the etheric realms, in beyond the 3D, is always going to be a reflection of your relationship with yourself, just as our relationships with other people on this plane in the physical are a reflection of our relationships with ourselves. So one thing I would say, and I would say this for human to animal interactions, everything, humans to trees, humans to flowers, are you listening? Are you really listening? Or do you interrupt when people are talking? Do you are you sort of thinking of what you're gonna say before they've finished their sentence? Because if you're doing that, and we're all guilty of it sometimes, but if you're doing that regularly, you're not really listening, and that is going to be reflected back to you in your relationship with beings on the etheric plane as well. If you're spending a lot of time scrolling on your phone, you're not going to hear messages from your guides. You're not going to receive, you might be receiving those psychic insights, but your ability to interpret them will be greatly diminished, and that kind of takes me to the next thing, which is like, what are you consuming? Because if you are watching a lot of violent imagery, if you are watching a lot of sexual imagery, if you are watching things which are, I often think, like, if you wouldn't be comfortable sitting watching someone do something in real life, why are you watching it on a film? And this is just my personal thing. I've not had a TV since I was 18. I'm very like, I don't engage often with that medium, and I think that you can definitely find material which is activating and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that it's all wrong or it's all bad, but I would say that the majority of things that people consume and the majority of things that people watch are not beneficial for their growth and development. you know, and there's so much distraction out there. And if you are in a place where you're constantly seeking that distraction, then it's really, you know, but you're also seeking that connection with the etheric. And I think the thing is, there are a lot of people who are like that, you know, they want that connection because they know that there's something more and they want it, but they just don't know exactly how to get to it. And so, you know, and often are still in a place where they're in a state of deep desire for distraction and running from the self. And that's exactly where you do not want to be if you're trying to connect with other beings, because it will just, you're drawing, when you're in that frequency of escapism, when you're in that frequency of, you know, what is essentially a sense of denial of where you are and where you are in your life and all of that kind of stuff, you're constantly looking like, I want to be here, that I'm actually here kind of thing. You're overriding, you know, your soul, you're overriding that. You're not in a place of acceptance. And that's where we have to be in order to download that next right thing, the next layers and levels of where it is we're to go. And so it's just really important to be in that deep place of acceptance of where you are with things. And in terms of these connections with other beings, connect with yourself first, connect with your higher self, connect with your inner child. You know, we're so multidimensional just within the idea of the self, you know, even though the majority of our guides are all aspects of us, and, you know, along the line we're all aspects of each other anyway. But I would say start with the more immediate multidimensional forms that you hold. And, you know, speaking as somebody who connects with galactic beings, connects with angelic beings, all of this kind of stuff, I still relish connecting with my inner child. I still love connecting with just my most kind of immediate highest self. They have such deep wisdom, you know. And I think maybe near the start of my journey with this, I would have kind of overlooked that, or overlooked a message from my inner child or from my more immediate higher self, because I would have thought, oh, that's not like a message from a galactic being or that kind of thing. But, you know, they still have like insane wisdom. And yeah, it's so exciting. And you can connect with different child aspects from different timelines as well. I have an inner child aspect from Atlantis, who is this, you know, amazing guide for me, but that wouldn't have unlocked had I not been able to connect with my inner child from this plane, you know, from this lifetime. And so, yeah, that would be my advice on how to connect with other beings, is connect with the ones that are already much more easily accessible to you. And from there, everything else blossoms, you know. And I say this to people all the time. I'm like, deep trust, deep surrender, trust in the process of your unfoldment, because it will happen. It is happening. And in another timeline, it's already happened, you know. So it's just about being receptive to that trust. And, you know, within that cultivating that receptivity, cultivating those listening skills, sitting and, you know, setting an intention to connect with your inner child. What do they need today? You know, it can be as simple as that. And, you know, I think another thing is just, it's trusting what comes through, even if it sounds silly, even if your rational mind wants to say that this isn't correct or whatever it is. It's just about going, okay, no, I'm going to listen to this. It might sound ridiculous, but you know what? I'm just going to go with it, because it will lead you on to the deeper sense of things. And then the other thing that's kind of coming through is, and something I see is like, so say you're trying to cultivate this relationship with your higher self, and you're like, oh, but is that actually my higher self speaking? The more you trust the deeper you will go with it, and the more you will be so, you will hear the tone. You know, it'll sound like your own voice. Majority of the time with people with guides, it generally sounds like their own voice, but you will learn to recognize the difference in the harmonic, in the frequency that is coming through, and then it just becomes so plain that you know exactly where that voice is coming from. And later, deeper in your journey, you will know that's exactly where that being is from, and what the tones and everything, the harmonics that they carry within them. You know, you will know that's Gaia speaking to me right now. You will know that that is someone from the fairy kingdom, or a galactic being. It becomes unmistakable, and you will get to the point in your journey where it would be as clear as me standing in front of you right now. You will know that that is someone else communicating with you, or another form of consciousness communicating with you. So yeah, I would say overall, cultivating those listening skills, cultivating that deep faith, that deep trust, and that deep surrender. Automatic writing is a really great way to just let go of the analytical mind, you know, and just write. This is, you know, me channeling my, you know, my inner child, and just start writing and just see what comes out. And the more you do it, the more you are getting in touch with those different parts of yourself, because everything is about relationship cultivation. You know, with ourselves, with the people around us. It's a constantly growing, unfolding, blooming journey. You know, there's never a point where you have reached it. You know, it's always unfolding. You know, even, you know, as a professional psychic, I'm continually receiving upgrades on my psychic senses, and I'm like, wow, okay, I wasn't able to do that the last session that I had, or, you know, that vision is much clearer, or, you know, whatever it is. Or I go into spaces and I am able to sense the energy far greater than maybe the last time I was there. We're constantly unfolding, we're constantly upgrading. So yeah, I feel like that is all that wants to come through. Thank you so much. And yeah, if there's any other like video ideas or anything else, any other questions or anything, please let me know.